Look at the screen.
That's mine.
And that's what you're going to settle for.
I'm going to stick beside him.
And here's the reality. If you are going to dump somebody because you don't appreciate how they, quote unquote, performed in 90 minutes, and you're going to discount everything that they've done for almost 50 years in this country, then honestly, it's not him that I'm worried about. I'm worried about the people that said that they had his back. The reality is that we see the Republicans will ride with a dude who's got 34 freaking felony convictions and over 50 more counts pending against him. People need to decide that they are going to choose themselves. And if they vote for Donald Trump, God bless us all, because he is only choosing him. That is all he's ever done. That's what he's going to continue to do. And to reward somebody for standing up there, spewing lies and spewing nonsense is ridiculous. You don't have to be in love with the president, but you should be in love with yourself and say, I deserve more of democracy. I deserve more as relates to my bodily autonomy. I deserve more as it relates to economic opportunities. The only person that even answered one economic question was Donald Trump. I'm sorry. I'm just as crazy this morning. was Joe Biden. Donald Trump wouldn't answer anything about the economy. Now, if people say the number one issue they have is the economy, you would think that they would at least say, well, he didn't answer anything about childcare. He didn't answer anything about making sure that there's more economic opportunities for black folk. He didn't answer anything on the economy. So why people think he better at it, I don't even know.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Ghetto Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who is a part of the delusional coalition of liberal black women who are still supporting Joe Biden. Just like you guys saw at the beginning of this video, you have some black women that have said, I'm sticking by Joe Biden no matter what, okay? No matter how bad he is, no matter how terrible of a president he is, I'm sticking by him, okay? It seems as if black women are more loyal to the white liberal man than they are to the black man, right? I'm just saying. That's what it seems like to me, okay? That's what it sounds like in regards to how black women continuously support Democrats no matter what. A 95% clip, doesn't matter how bad it gets, the black woman is going to stand up for massa. In fact, if you don't vote for massa, like Jasmine Crockett is telling you to do, then hey, you don't love yourself. Or put it this way, she strongly implied that you don't love yourself if you don't vote for Joe Biden, because she says that, hey, you should vote for Joe Biden if you love yourself enough. You should love yourself enough to vote for Joe Biden, which again would imply that if you don't vote for Joe Biden, then somehow, some way you don't love yourself enough, okay? And that's why you're not voting for him. Again, absolutely delusional stuff. What Democrats have resulted to is attacking voters, right? Attacking voters and people who have an issue with voting for a corpse to be president of the United States, okay? Apparently, you don't love yourself enough if you don't want an empty suit leading the country. It's just funny how that works, okay? And again, this comes as allegedly, Biden is having family discussions, aka talking with Jill, his handler, about whether or not he should continue to run in the future of his campaign. And again, apparently all of this comes down to what Jill wants to do.
The White House denying reports that Joe Biden will be discussing the future of his campaign when he gathers with his family at Camp David today.
Yeah, they say they're just taking a family photo. But NBC News is quoting a source familiar with the discussions, and they say, quote, they believe only the president, in consultation with his family, can decide whether to move forward or to end his campaign early. The decision makers are two people, and it's the president and his wife, and NBC thinks that's what they're doing this weekend.
Biden officials are firing back. The premise of the story is not accurate. The president's trip to Camp David was public in our guidance before the debate. It's been on the schedule for weeks. There's nothing more to it. Washington Examiner editor Kaylee McGee-White joins us now. Kaylee, good morning to you. What do you make of this report? Do you think there are discussions? Do you think they're having a conversation about the future of the campaign?
I do, but I'm sure the conversation is how to continue to hide Biden's state of degeneracy, and certainly not whether he should drop out. Jill Biden has made it very clear over the past few days, in fact, that her husband has no intention of dropping out. And listen, I'm in rural Ohio in the middle of nowhere this weekend for a wedding. And the topic on everyone's mind, besides how great the bride and groom were how horribly Joe Biden did last Thursday night. So this is not a topic that's going away. This is not an image that people are going to be able to erase from their minds. Everyone saw his state last Thursday, and it is the very first thing that people are going to think about when they think about his candidacy. So Biden doesn't need to really be worried about what the leftist pundits are saying, what the Hollywood A-listers are saying, or what his donors are saying. He needs to be worried about what the voters are saying, because they are going to be the ones who ultimately decide this for him. And right now, they are extremely concerned about what they saw last week.
Yeah, so again, it remains to be seen whether or not Joe Biden will actually drop out. But to me, it seems like Jill is the one calling the shots, okay? The more information that gets revealed following this situation of Joe Biden imploding at the CNN debate, we're starting to learn more about who's actually really calling the shots. It seems as if it is Jill Biden. Maybe Jill Biden and a combination of Obama, but more so Jill Biden, okay? Jill Biden apparently is the HBIC here, okay? So with that being said, what people are upset about is not just calls for Joe Biden to drop out from liberals, okay, and Democrats, but also the fact that Kamala Harris would be skipped over, right? They're not saying, hey, Joe, drop out and let Kamala take over. No, that's not what they're saying. They're saying, Joe, drop out, end your campaign, which would, again, effectively kind of end the campaign for Kamala as well, too. And they're saying, hey, we need to replace Joe with somebody that's not Kamala, right? Kamala's essentially getting skipped over in the process here. So the Ghetto Congresswoman is also mad about that as well, too. And I want to react to this clip of MSNBC openly strategizing about how to make Kamala look better, even though she's probably just as disliked, if not more disliked, than Joe Biden, okay? Her approval rating, I think, might actually be lower than Joe Biden's at this point, which, again, is kind of crazy to think about. But, yeah, they're trying to resurrect Kamala now because they feel like, well, she should be the person to take over for Joe.
I guess I'll give some advice to the Biden campaign, which is that I want to see Kamala Harris all the time. I want her on every TV show. I want her on the morning shows. I want her on the afternoon shows. I want her on the night shows. She famously loves to cook. I want her on cooking shows. If there is a sports team that she is interested in, I want her on sports shows. We need to make the American people very comfortable with Kamala Harris.
Wow. Again, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to how these individuals get paid millions of dollars to just say really silly things on national television and to give just really bad political strategy advice. Okay, this guy is saying, well, we need to see more Kamala, right? We need more of Kamala. And it's like, well, first and foremost, we've seen a lot of Kamala. And the more that people see of Kamala, the more that they dislike Kamala, right? That's actually Kamala's weakness, okay? Because going into the Democrat primary, Kamala Harris was a very strong candidate, right? A lot of people were looking at her as one of the finalists that would potentially win the nomination for the Democrat Party. However, the more that she talked, when she actually started to debate, the more that people got to know her, she was very not likable, okay? And was not very popular, not even within the Democrat Party. And that is why she essentially dropped out before any votes were cast, because her campaign ended as soon as she opened her mouth, which, by the way, is not normal for Kamala Harris because she usually elevates her career through opening her mouth, okay? But in this case, it seems like her mouth is holding her back, again, which would be the first time ever in her career that her mouth would hold her back, okay? But, you know, hey, it really does blow my mind that these people are getting paid millions of dollars to give bad advice. Kamala Harris is not the answer, right? And the fact that there are talks about skipping over her, right, and going with somebody like Gavin Newsom tells you everything you need to know about how Democrats actually really feel about Kamala Harris behind closed doors. Remember, these people could not really give a solid answer when asked about whether or not Kamala should remain as Joe Biden's VP or if she is the future of the Democrat Party to take over for Joe Biden. They can't even give you a straight answer because they don't have confidence in her, okay? She is just a terrible vice president, okay? She's probably one of the worst vice presidents we've ever had, if not the worst.
We already have a mechanism in place for the scenario that people are very concerned about, which is that the president cannot serve in this capacity. It's called having a vice president. Right. It's called having a vice president. And so what people are talking about in terms of instituting a new ticket is really just talking about inserting someone else in the line of succession.
Right. And you know, Ian, I agree with you that Vice President Harris should be out there in our faces every day, every possible moment. The only quibble I have with what you're saying is the vice president is out there every day. I get her schedule. Everyone in the media gets her schedule.
Right.
We know where she is. She's been out west all this week.
Right.
What needs to happen is that my colleagues in the press need to cover her. They need to bring cameras to wherever she is, and they need to report on what she's doing exactly for the reasons that you're talking about. Congresswoman.
Wow. Again, these people are clueless, right? If they actually did that, then more people would dislike Kamala, right? It wouldn't work. Kamala has the same problem that Joe Biden has, right? The more transparency you have, the more people look and see, okay, I don't really like this, right? That's what happens. And these people are pretending that Kamala is somebody that is an unknown commodity, that, people just haven't seen enough of Kamala. People just, they don't know enough about her, and this is why her approval rating is so low. No, it literally is because the more that people learn about Kamala, the more that people don't like Kamala, right? I mean, she's just weird. She sounds high, and she doesn't come off as a very authentic person. She also doesn't do adversarial interviews, right? So what they want to do is that they want to drag Kamala out on MSNBC, NBC, CNN, where she's going to get very friendly interviews, okay? They're not going to push back against anything that she says. They're not going to really challenge her, okay? And they've done this a lot. They've already done this. It hasn't helped. What Kamala hasn't done, she hasn't went on Fox News. She hasn't went on any Newsmax. I don't even think she's been on News Nation. She hasn't went on any of these networks that aren't going to give her the preferential treatment. If Kamala really wanted to change the perception of her, then she would go on a network like a Fox News or a Newsmax or News Nation and to talk to people who aren't Democrat voters, right? I'm just saying. That's the one thing Kamala's not doing, which is something that, hey, if you are vice president, you kind of have to do. Your main job is to market the administration. Kamala's doing a terrible job at marketing the administration and what they've done. Now, don't get me wrong. They haven't done anything worth bragging about, so that's kind of a tough job, okay? But still, her spin is not working. So, again, that's the main problem with Kamala is that the more that we see of her, she becomes more disliked. The same way, the more we see of Biden, people understand that, okay, this guy is not mentally fit enough to be president of the United States. She has the exact same problem that Biden had, okay? And that's why Democrats don't have any hope. There's no hope for Democrats here. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because, again, if they abandon Kamala and they say, hey, you know what, we're not going to go with her, okay, we're going to abandon Joe and Kamala, then the pro-black bourgeoisie of the party will revolt, okay? The liberal black women, who knows? They may actually abandon the Democrats if they decide not to roll with Kamala. Who knows?
Crockett, what do you make of Ian's suggestion, which I think is an excellent one, to make sure that the vice president of the United States is out front and center so that people and that folks in my profession cover her in the way that they should as a vice president so that they get, quote unquote, comfortable with her?
Listen to this so-called journalist openly strategizing with Democrats on how to help the Biden campaign. Again, this guy is not a guest. He's a host. And he's openly cheering for the Democrat Party and working in lockstep with the Democrat Party. But if you criticize these people and say, hey, you're biased, they're going to get upset, right? They're going to get offended. They're going to get angry for attacking them for being biased. But yet you have this person openly talking about strategizing with Democrats to help Kamala Harris. Again, it's fascinating. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. And I absolutely agree. Number one, the vice president has been keeping up a very intense schedule, and she's doing amazing work. It is quite frustrating for me, though, because as a Black woman who's elected in this country, I always feel like we still kind of come back to this very same thing, that she has to do more than anybody else has ever had to do. Was this a question for any other vice president that came before her? She is the vice president of the United States. We have had scenarios where we have lost presidents because they've been executed or otherwise passed away. And the deal is there wasn't all of this, let's insert somebody else. She is the second one. And so it is very frustrating because, again, I feel as if there's always just this different bar that's set for her. It's like when I ask people all the time, can you name for me 5 other other vice presidents because they really have always wanted her out front. And that's not ever been the role of a vice president. The role of a vice president is to be a supporting cast member. And at the end of the day, when we talk about comfortability, what we should be talking about is, are we comfortable with the policies that are being pushed? The Republicans right now are pushing Project 2025. So at the end of the day, do you want Project 2025 or do you want Roe restored?
I think I want Project 2025. To answer the question.
Do you want Project 2025 or do you want affirmative action, diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Project 2025.
You want Project 2025 or do you want loyalists that are going to, or that will include having loyalists instead of those committed public servants who have always served in these capacities? Like, there is a real danger into
Yeah. I think I want Project 2025. Okay, but what you hear here from this delusional ghetto congresswoman, again, screenshot. I'm getting a lot of good screenshots doing my videos, okay? But anyways, what you hear here from the ghetto congresswoman is her basically crying racism, saying that, well, Kamala is expected to do so much because she's a black woman. And also, I don't understand why people are saying that she should be replaced or let's skip over her because it should just be expected as vice president that she would take over. And it's like, well, listen, here's the thing. Kamala has not only benefited from her skin color, okay? I would go as far as to say that she's in her position because of her skin color and her genitalia. If it wasn't for her alleged genitalia and her skin color, she wouldn't be in this position. I think that Kamala is just so unlikable that Democrats realized early on that, hey, she's just not ready for prime time. It doesn't have anything to do with her being a black woman, okay? Because this is the same party that is begging Michelle Obama, right? Begging Michelle Obama to run. So it's not because she's black. It's because she's just simply not very likable, okay? She's not that competent. And allegedly, behind closed doors, according to liberal media reports, her and Joe Biden don't really get along that much. At least their teams don't, right? So they're not really on the same page like that, even though they work together. So, it's really more telling that the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, is not rolling more with putting Kamala out there and putting her in the spotlight more, because if they felt that she was competent, then that's what they would do, right? They're desperate to save Joe Biden's campaign. But Kamala can't save Joe Biden's campaign. If Kamala can't save Joe Biden's campaign, then nobody can. And that quite literally is her job. She's essentially failed at her job. Because a lot of people should be coming out here and saying, hey, you know what? Even though Joe is not in the right state of mind, hey, Kamala's right behind him. He has Kamala there to help him make decisions. But again, people don't feel great about Kamala, so Joe doesn't get any points by having Kamala at his side, right? So again, that's the problem here. It's not racism. It's not because she's a black woman. It's just because she's just not a very well-liked politician. It is what it is.
Act as if this comes down to personalities. I need all of America to grow up and decide that they are going to choose what makes sense with going forward in this country, or they can decide that we can have more of our freedom taken away.
Yeah, so you need to grow up, right? If you don't want to vote for a corpse in Kamala Harris, okay, word salad and a corpse. If you don't want that to be running the country for the next 4 years, then you need to grow up and you need to love yourself more, right? Again, is this really what Democrats want to do, right? They want to insult voters who are rightfully saying that, hey, you know what? I don't like Joe Biden. I really don't like Kamala. Is this what they really want to do, right? I'm not entirely sure if this is a good strategy, but if this is what they want to do, then, hey, be my guest. Insult the voters, okay? Put Kamala Harris out there. Push her down people's throats so that people can dislike her even more. Yeah, that's a great campaign strategy for the Democrats. I'm just saying, these people are lost. They are so lost. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.